Hello again, everybody. It's Harry Boxer, the technical trader at thetechtrader.com. These are the charts of the day. It's Tuesday night, and it's turnaround Tuesday as the markets did not do well today. It was kind of miserable all day, and for the most part, there was a small morning rally that took the index to new highs. S&P did not cooperate. They then rolled over in a very hard sell-off before bouncing at the end of the day, but it wasn't a good day. However, there were some stocks that stood out alongside. I'm going to show you some of those, and we'll go over some of the better-looking shorts at this point. AFOP continues to be a swing trade and a good one. It's still holding support. Obviously, 17 is going to be a key area for it. It did bounce from that 17 area up towards 2043 today, closing 2004 up 35 cents on a million two. Increasing volume up on a day. It's near resistance. It did back off 2064, the high we had about 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago actually. And if we can get through that, we should test 21 and then 24. Those are my targets when I forward for AFOP Alliance Fiber Optics. ATHL, that's Athlon Energy. That's on the news yesterday. It followed through nicely today. And you can see the stock had popped out of this little falling wedge here. And after a 1, 2, 3 wave corrective falling wedge near the 50-day moving average, the stock ran up to 3 days in a row. And now we're going to be testing the high shortly at 43.71. Should we get through, my target's 47.48. CXDC has been doing phenomenal. As you can see, the China XD Plastics with a nice run up, only down 2 days in the last 2 weeks. And the volume's been solid, but it is at the top of the channel. And on a long-term basis, very long-term, you can see we're up near the IPO price. 1078 should reach back in 09, so it's 5 years. But this beautiful base pattern has been broken, so is lateral resistance, and even this high here. So at this point, that 1078 area may be an area to contend with, but it could just as easily, after a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-way move, pull back and consolidate. Something to keep an eye on. DRTX today popped through the March high and pulled back, but it did close up 34 cents at 2%. Nevertheless, when you look at the long-term channel, you can see multiple waves that look like it could get to as high as 20. That's my target for DRTX, that 1920 zone up here, short term. ENG has been in a nice pattern ever since the double bottom in 2012 and 2013, down literally in pennies. The stock has moved up dramatically and now reaching across 3 today, up in 31 cents or 11%. Volume was the second biggest all year, 615,000. It has had a 1, 2, 3 wave move. Maybe we're going to get another shot up here towards the $4 range. $3.90, $4 is my next target, although pay attention to the channel top where we're at now, which may create some resistance. EONC's had a monster move just in the last 3 days from 208 to 495. That's about 125% gain, 140%, something like that, in just a couple sessions. The 50-day moving average here and lateral price resistance, along with the secondary resistance up here, all created a resistance zone which it backed off of today. So it closed, I wouldn't say poorly, but mid-range. But the volume was solid, and I want to see if this stock follows through or not. There is some overhead resistance for sure around 5.25, which would be my next minor target. But if it pulls back and consolidates in here, I'd look for a setup for more upside. Mankind doing very well of late, and you can see how the long-term channel here, despite being violated, snapped right back on some positive drug news to reestablish the channel. And now the shorter-term channel appears to be up around the $9 range for a target at the top of that. But we do need to get through this spike high at about 808 first. So 808, 810 zone, and then 8 3/4, 9 are my targets for Mankind. And lastly, on the long side today, big news from OPHT. The stock gapped to 38.05, ran to 40.88, backed off but closed at 39.16, up 770. That's nearly 25%. But the key is that the big coiling wedge pattern exploded with the breakaway gap. We're going to want to see what happens if and when it gets to 42.5, my next target, and then looking at mid-40s to high 40s beyond that. Now let's turn our attention to the box of shorts. Starting with ASML. This beautiful rising channel on this semiconductor stock then formed the left shoulder, head, right shoulder. Now the breakdown was brief, but then a rising bear wedge formed right in here. And you can see the collapse from there, only to form another wedge that's a bearish wedge with a declining tops, flat bottoms. If it breaks here, I would not be surprised to see a run down towards the 73, 74 zone, my next target. Covance. CVD literally collapsed from 106 down to 80 and now bounced and formed a bear wedge. Today it dropped $1.69 at 2%, but I'm thinking that if it does crack here, we should retest the 79 range shortly and perhaps even get into the low to mid 70s, my next target. DXCM, which was in a beautiful rising channel, formed a micro or mini head and shoulder stop, broke down, bear flag, little bear wedge, another bear wedge here, today down $1.26, almost 4%. And looking at the pattern, I'm expecting a test of the 26, 27 zone, my next target. ESI has been on our list as a swing short since the high 20s, as now it's 25.37. You can see the slow, tedious decline that I think is going to continue. We are at minor support, but I expect to test this low here down in the 22.25 half range short term. That's if we get down below that, 21 and even 18 are possibilities. GTLS has been on my list for a while. This beautiful rising channel, when it broke big time with a breakaway gap and then formed the bear wedge, at which point we gave you a short on it, put it on a short list, and then this rising flag here gave us a box of swing short recommendation around 90. Stock has dropped down to 64 from 90, then bounced to the trend line, but appears to be rolling over again. What I would look for is a move down towards the bottom of the channel. It could get us down around 62.3. HMIN, that's been on my list since it formed this bear wedge up here. It collapsed from the high 30s, eventually to get down to 26.7. Now another bear wedge may be forming. But we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 waves down, so I'm wondering whether this extends. If it does, my target is 24 to test these multiple bottoms from last year. New Skin, beautiful rising channel, and then a collapse, I believe, on earnings. 2 consecutive big gaps with a drop from 140 down to 70, literally cut in half in 2 days, formed this wedge, and then I believe earnings here, or some kind of forecast, popped it out. The pullback, the retest of the declining channel top, and then the breakdown. That line, when broken, has led to a box of short recommendation before that collapse, has seen it drop from about 87, 88 area to 72, and I'm still looking for a test of this triple bottom around 68 short term. Silicom, another high-tech stock, which gapped up and ran to the top of the channel, then rolled over, little wedge here, another wedge there, finally a collapse and another wedge, and now a large wedge is formed. If we break that, I'm looking for a test of the December lows near the 40 range. And that is it tonight for both the long and short of it. Tough market out there, folks. Hang in there. We'll get them back. Good night.